Riley Gaines joins us. Riley, thanks for taking the time. I wish it was under better circumstances, but I appreciate you being here.
Man, I'm excited to talk with you, Joe Bob. What a dark past week, really,
Hmm.
this has been. I think I will speak personally. I think what was pretty unsettling to me, of course, was watching what happened to the beautiful, young, innocent, law-abiding Ukrainian refugee who
Yeah.
had her life taken from her at the hands of a monster. That initially made me really uneasy because I was thinking to myself, watching this situation unfold at the beginning of this week, like there was nothing she could have done to prevent that situation. Like she walked onto the bus or the train, whatever it was, she sat down, and then what, like a minute and a half later, she was dead. So that, like, it kind
Yeah.
of shook me to my core. I don't know if it's the fact that obviously this was a young woman. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm due to bring life into this world any day, a young daughter for that matter. So that shook me. But then obviously watching what has happened to our friend, our mentor, I mean, our boss, Charlie Kirk, like it was another situation of this was a circumstance where there was nothing that he could have done to really prevent this. And I think that's just the reality of it. When you have so many unhinged people who feel as if they're morally justified, by the way, who
Hmm.
are willing, I think, at the end of the day, to risk their life, and they want to kill you, there's not a lot you can do. And so
Yeah.
pretty unsettling, of course. Just evil is the only word for it. So I too wish this was under better circumstances, but fantastic way to commemorate the life and the legacy of Charlie Kirk.
I'm so curious what everybody had kind of a different relationship with him depending on where you were in the movement, your job at Turning Point, your kind of interaction with him on a day-to-day basis. You specifically have, I don't want to say the most bizarre trajectory into conservative political commentary, but I know for a fact that that wasn't on your radar at a certain point in life, especially at school. Can you kind of like talk about Charlie's role or even mentorship in the process of, correct me if I'm wrong, you were going to be a dentist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to say that this was something that I imagined myself doing would be certainly an understatement. I
Mm.
mean, half the conversations that we're having, whether it's me personally, the situation that I found myself in, or again, like seriously, more than half the things we find ourselves discussing or debating or legislating on as a nation, like these are conversations that, I mean, there was a pretty standard default position to take that would have been considered common sense for virtually all of humanity. And
Mm.
now we're living in this time where issues like men and women's sports, or you can't have a nation at all actually without borders, or the fact that crime is bad, or that getting married and having children is a beneficial thing to society. Like these things where there was originally a default position, and you would imagine like a relatively unified understanding and consensus of, now we're debating them. So never imagined myself, all that to say, in the position that I'm in. I will say, of course, I've always been a conservative. I've always been a Christian first and foremost, and so having
Mm.
conservative views. And so Charlie was someone who I watched in college, especially towards the back end of my collegiate time. And so it was a pretty surreal moment for me to go from a college student impacted by a specific situation, finding my voice, and then having someone who I had kind of from a distance admired for a long time be the person to prop me up, to give me a platform, to deploy me to different places on college campuses, high school
Hmm.
campuses. I mean, this is a man who gave me my voice. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. We wouldn't have, I think, some of the impact that we've seen following that national championships without Charlie Kirk. He revolutionized me as a patriot, as an American, as someone who understands the freedoms that we are so blessed with in this nation. So again, his impact on me personally, it's just been profound. He's taught me so much in terms of the political world. Again, this isn't something that I came into overly confident. I
Yeah.
wasn't a young Charlie Kirk. So he taught me so much there. He taught me so much in regard to my spiritual relationship. I mean, even personal relationships. This was a person I could go to for advice on anything, and I did. Like, even leading up to, of course, I mean, even his final moments, like days before, texting him, what do you think about this person? Is this a person I should endorse or get behind for Congress or for Senate or for governor? And he would always
Wow.
tell me. And so it's just a weird, it's a weird thought. It's a feeling of disbelief knowing that you can't send that text, you can't make that call
Yeah.
anymore. My husband wouldn't have his green card without Charlie. It was really Charlie who ultimately facilitated that conversation once Joe Biden was out, Donald Trump was back in,
Yeah.
to get rid of this mandate that required legal immigrants to have the COVID vaccine. So, I mean, it's changed the trajectory of my marriage even.
Yeah, yeah, it's unbelievable the impact. I've had many experiences in which, well, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say he would trust me to do things that I wouldn't necessarily know I'd trust myself to do. For example, on more than a couple occasions, hey, there's something going on with this event. Can you run on stage and go kill 20 minutes? And I remember something like that happening to you too at Mar-a-Lago, I think this last year, of like, well, wasn't expecting to speak, now I'm speaking. But I think that kind of like, what it really is, you know, you can look at the chaotic part and the kind of the humor of it, but what that really is trust and confidence in the people that he helped bring up around him, which I think is huge, especially now since, you know, it's up to everybody to take the mantle and carry it. I guess how going forward, how do you expect? And I understand this is kind of difficult to speculate right now, but how do you expect the trajectory of kind of carrying that mantle forward in the conservative movement in a way that Charlie would have wanted you and us and everybody to do?
You know, I think right now so many of us feel the grief, right? Or maybe the anger, or maybe still that disbelief or the
Yeah.
sadness that comes with losing someone who truly is irreplaceable. But all that to say, I don't think the coward, the assassin who took Charlie's life, I don't think he thought about the consequences of
Yeah.
what that bullet, what that shot, what that fatal shot would do. Because I think in the long run, what this has done, I think it's going to create tens of thousands, if not more, Charlie Kirks. Again,
Yeah.
he's an irreplaceable human being. The way he consumes knowledge, how articulate, how intelligent, how personable, how genuine. I mean, there's no one else like Charlie Kirk. But if we can have people who are just as dedicated, just as willing to do what they can to implement the same strategies that he used, again, he went to campuses to mobilize and engage with the youth in a format that encouraged intellectual thought and civil discourse. And if that is something that we can continue on as everyday people, right? It doesn't take someone who is a theologian or a historian or someone who studied political science. Again, that's not me. I'm none of those things. Yet I would still describe myself as someone who is able to have impact. I believe that we will see thousands and thousands and thousands of Charlie Kirks. And so truthfully, Joe Bob, like, I'm not concerned
Yeah.
for the future of Turning Point. I feel hopeful. And it feels weird saying that again when these days are so dark. But there is a sense of hope going into the future. And I think it's a fitting name, right? The organization that Charlie worked. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean his life's work to be called Turning Point, because I believe that's what this week, Wednesday, I
Yeah.
believe that's what it will be for this nation.
Yeah. You were among a few people to actually sit behind the table with him several times. And at any point, did you feel that he was nervous at all? Feel that he was scared? What was that like? Because like I said, I don't. He didn't invite everybody behind that table, and you were one of them that he had, again, confidence in to be able to handle the oncoming questions. What were those experiences like?
You know, I think one of the pieces that makes Charlie irreplaceable is that he would oftentimes insert himself into the belly of the beast.
Mm.
I mean, most recently we were together at San Francisco State University, obviously in San Francisco, which
Hmm.
this was the same university, if you can remember, Joe Bob, where, I mean, a mob of trans rights
Yeah.
activists held me hostage for, I mean, for 4 or 5 hours, demanding that I had to pay them money if I wanted to make it home safely. Yet
Yeah.
Charlie saw that as an opportunity. He wasn't there again to, for rage, or any sort of engagement farming or clickbaiting. He just was there to again have these conversations. These were the
Hmm.
conversations that are the places where these conversations needed to be had, and to hold a mirror up so everyone, the world, could see the harm, the threats, the destructive nature, especially of these liberal institutions, and the monsters, the Frankensteins, really, that they're creating and then deploying out into the world. These are the people who will become our healthcare providers, government workers, our educators. The list goes on. And so he was shining a light and a mirror on that. Uh, but that's, I think, again, what made him different and unique and made him a target is he was willing to put himself in those situations. So there was never any sort of fear, at least outwardly expressed, that I saw from Charlie, even when I was fearful, and I'm reluctant to admit it.
Yeah.
But going back to
Yeah.
San Francisco, like that was scary for me. Like it really was. Like
I,
seeing some of
yeah.
those same people, the same officers who were there. Like, I don't like to look at myself as any sort of victim, or to
Hmm.
have a pity party for myself. But that was a scary moment. It was Charlie who reassured me, "You're fine. You're good. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
Of course, always giving me scripture to accompany it. So I don't believe he was scared. And that again gives me comfort knowing that in his final moments, I truthfully believe he went out, of course, doing what he loved to do most, and
Mhm.
in a way that, again, I don't think there was any level of fear to it.
Yeah, that's yeah, no, it's incredible to be able to walk into those situations and stare at the belly beast and come out on top. But Riley, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, somber moments, but still finding the light in what Charlie was doing and what he would have wanted all of us to do going forward. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Joe Bob. Onwards.
Thank you.